Okay, good morning. This is Simon with toughtrader.com and Trade and Perform Coaching doing the live market preview for the 23rd, 2018. Let's go through a couple of things real quick before we do the Globex high. Actually, we'll get Globex high and low in really quick, and then we will jump into all that other good stuff. I tried to figure out some ways I could save some time in the morning, and I've actually successfully done that, believe it or not. So on NQ, we have a Globex high, way off its highs, 69.58. I don't know what these guys are thinking, but there is 69.58 right there. Close enough for hand grenades. Globex low came in at 69.1975. Right approximately there. ES, Globex high. ES also about 10 points off its. Let's see, Globex high came in at 28.42. And Globex low came in at 32. 28.75. Okay, first of all, for members in the room, before I go and talk about overnight and everything else, I made an error of sorts yesterday. I allowed the market pushing straight up yesterday morning and not getting an entry to get inside my head. Why did that matter, or why was that important? That was important because if I just simply stayed calm yesterday, meaning I didn't allow myself to get agitated by the push up, I had a very easy entry to the long side late in the afternoon. Okay, really, really important. I want to show you from that perspective why that was important. If we look at NQ yesterday, everyone in the room will know what I'm talking about when I say we got above our last best seller. I even highlighted it right here, right? So over here, this is the 68.81 that I pointed out in the afternoon. It was worth 3 or 4 points early in the morning, and I skipped that trade, right? But technically, the setup worked, right? Next, we got underneath our last best seller in here. We obviously never broke the swing. This trade in here, if I had taken it from the short side and I wanted to play the short side, was worth still about 6 points to the downside. But more importantly, late in the afternoon, we got above our last best seller in here, guys. And all I had to do was stay calm. It was right into the top of the last hour. And I had a 40-point push on NQ to the upside, a 10-point push on ES. So the shoulda, woulda, couldas, you know, as they say, if you could have had the trade, you would have had the trade. The improvement for me there is when the market pushes up, for me to stay within my own process, my own game plan, right? And to continuously execute it all the way through the day. I primed myself over the weekend. I had a really strong week last week, a really great start to the year. And I pretty much came in thinking, well, I'm going to find a trade right out of the gate. And because I put that thought process in my head, I really got disappointed by this straight push-up in the morning. So what's my adjustment? My adjustment is no expectation for the day except to follow process. If the market doesn't give me my process through the course of the day, then I get no trade. And that's perfectly fine because the win rate is so high and the consistency and execution has been so high that I really need to make sure that I'm staying psychologically within my game and what I'm able to accomplish, right? And not worry about what the market's doing. If it's making a vertical move, I usually don't catch vertical moves, right? And what I did was I took myself out of what was probably the second easiest move of the day, right? It's actually easier than the open because it's set up perfectly according to my process, right? Okay, so let's jump over and take a look at overnight sessions here real quick. Let's go to the, of course it's ended. Let's see if we can restart this. Hold on 1 second here. I forgot I rebooted and I didn't start it up. Give me 1 second. I will have it going. Join me. Start. Join me. Join me is thinking about it. Hold on 1 second. I don't know why it's taking so long to think about it, but it certainly is. Okay. There we go. Connecting. And let's connect. Start. Wow, join me is just slow this morning, guys. Apologize. Here we go. Enter code. 3. And magically we can now see the other computer. Possibly. It's taking a second. Join me is just running slow. Okay, there we are, finally. Okay, so very calmly, and then we'll go look at the profiles, right? So on ES, 24 hours. Got to control it from the other computer. There we go. So let's reset this, expand it out. Okay, so here's yesterday's move to the left. You can see overnight we had a very tight range. So what's going on here? Let's just look at it from this perspective here of what's happened overnight. Okay, we opened up. Here's yesterday's high right here. Okay, here we'll color it a different color so it's easier to see. Okay, there's the overnight high, prior day's high. We push up, we consolidate underneath, we make a break above, they push back underneath, consolidate again, right? Break above again, backside test. This time we failed to close below. We do not close back below the overnight high, right? And we short squeeze up into the high. Then you can see we come back down, we roll and make an impulse move down, close below the low. We're unable to backside test that 26.36, right? We're just consolidating underneath. And where do we push back to? Well, if you look, there's a couple of things that we would consider important from yesterday's rally. And the first one is, well, how do we measure whether the rally has succeeded or failed? And one of the easiest measures to do that by is by looking at from where the rally started yesterday to the overnight high. And we draw a 50-60 retrace right here, right? And what we will see is we have come nowhere close. Right now, this puts us in 50-60 retrace territory right there from yesterday's low to last night's high, and we have not reached into that point. You will also know that it is conveniently correlating with the consolidation before the next break up, right? And it's consolidating between that 50-60 goes into both of those consolidations. The 50 is the bottom end of the top consolidation. It's the top end of the earlier consolidation that took place just after 10 a.m., right? So we know that because we had consolidation in this area, that volume built in this area, that this is likely to get defended the first time in. So now what we're playing for overnight is, A, can we get back above 28.3650 this morning? If not, a rejection most likely brings us a push back into this 50-60 retrace. Quite realistically, where my guess is somewhere within this area, we will find an attempt at responsive buying. It makes perfect sense, and it also lines up with the profile from yesterday, which I'll show you in just a second, right? That's on ES. So additionally, from the overnight session, you broke the uptrend, right? Not from a larger time frame, but from a smaller time frame perspective, right? And then from the overnight perspective, trend-wise, right? In addition to all these other lines, and I'm not going to reset this chart because there's just not enough time to do it, so bear with me on the lines, right? That's the downtrend that's now been established. Again, it lines up right with 28.36. So the question will be, can we get above 28.36 and can we hold above 28.36? Inevitably, there will be someone who wants to jump in and see this as a buying opportunity right out of the gate. We're trading at 28.34 right now. Can we get above 28.3650 and sustain above? That's your most important pivot for the day as far as I'm concerned as of now. And then this is your second most important pivot. Behind the 62 retrace, that's where we start to think we could get a corrective move back to the downside. We've obviously been very vertical. Let's go look at NQ really quick. $24 hour. Yes. Okay, let's pull this in a little bit. Okay, so a couple of things. Again, yesterday's high, we went out at the high yesterday. Let's change that so we can identify it easily. Okay, there we go. We went out at the high. You can see it's a little bit different composition in terms of how far it's pushed below. We really consolidated above all night, and we pushed below. So this area becomes important. Look at the consolidation before the break to the upside. Look at the attempted consolidation just prior to the open after we broke below last night's low, and now we're trading back below. I would like to see an actual impulse move And there's one other point. We're below the 24-hour VWAP as well, that 69.37. So this, in essence, becomes our pivot point pre-market, right? Failure to get above 69.37 and a close below 69.32 opens us up for a move back to the mid, right? And the move back to the mid from yesterday's open, right? You should have this in your notes because this is all, we all forgot, members in the room, we already know the setup that we're looking for, right? We want to get above our best last seller, our last best buyer, and wait for a retest back into them. That sets up our entry process, right? So we already know this morning that this is going to be the 50-60 retrace from the 24-hour perspective. And I would expect, again, if you look conveniently how the market's very symmetrical sometimes, we're lining up between the two consolidation points. Wow, the computer just froze. Hold on one second here. Really? What is the deal? This is not the mouse. There we go. Between our two consolidation points, the 50-60, I expect a response from this area this morning because everyone's going to do the same thing I did. They're going to drop a retrace that's also from yesterday's close, 69.34, puts us into 69.90. That's a 30 to 50 point rotation down from prior day's close. I would expect a response of buyers, and I'm going to put a big note. If I get below 68, 79, 75, and I fail to recover, that opens me up for potential, right? If I get underneath here and I can't get back above, that opens me up for a push to the downside and the beginning of a corrective move, right? I'm going to have to see us get behind that. Until then, I'm going to assume that buyers are going to defend, right? And I put out in last night's video that my main concern is when we open and we get an open drive lower, right? And I'll go through the requirements for that. But 3 red bars, failure to get a 50-60 recovery, and start of one timing to the downside on the 30-minute. My biggest concern is getting run over and a hard, everyone hit the exit move at the same time. And we'll know that after the open what that looks like. So let's go through and put in our notes what the critical areas are for today from a profile perspective. So on NQ, we will start off with NQ. We already know 2 key areas based on the overnight price action. Let's pull this in a little bit. Okay, so we have our weekly numbers from yesterday. I'm not going to go into them, but we have to get below the weeklies. Everyone already knows that. Okay, so number 1, prior day's high, prior day's low. That's a no-brainer. First question is 69.0950 is value area high. We have not traded into it, right? Right behind that, we have the TPO point of control and the volume point of control. From roughly 68, here, I'll open this up. From roughly 68.9950 to 68.92, okay? That area has to be gotten behind. And then we have what's essentially right here is the second distribution. It's kind of weird, right? How it looked. Usually you want that distribution spread out further apart. So actually what I would think would be more important in this profile is not this second distribution, because usually when you think of a double distribution, you think of something that looks like this maybe, where there's actually a low volume node strung out in between and there's actual spread. It's here, but it's not very well developed. I would call it kind of weak, right? The chart is repaired once we auction down to this 69.50. Let's just call it between 68.72 to 68.50. So why is this so important, right? Because essentially everything is looking like support, and I'm going to cover that here right now. Okay, so I want to know certain things. Number 1, in order to stop the one time into the time frame, I have to trade below 68.34. Unlikely considering we're trading at 69.35. I'm going to need a 100-point rotation down. I haven't had it in at least 2 weeks, right? So I'm not going to bet that I'm getting the 100-point rotation down. Secondly, the chart gets repaired at 68.59 to 68.50. Okay, so in this area, I am all heads up on a potential reversal from that area down there. Again, that's almost an 85-point rotation down. I already know my actual final steps in the process for getting long. I don't have to cover those again, right? There's a low volume node right behind the point of control. So here's how this breaks down, right? The first question is, can we get underneath? And I was wrong on where the point of control is. Let me fix that. I mean, the value area high. Apologies. And value area low. Okay, now we have them correct. Okay, So first question is, when we push down, can we close below 69.1450? That's the first thing I'll be looking for in the half-hour time frame. I already know in my notes, and I have written down, if I can't close below 69.1450, there is no corrective move, right? We have to get into the value area, and we have to be able to trade through the value area. So step 2, I expect an attempted responsive buy at 68.9950 to 68.92. Here's the key. If we blast this area, like it pushes straight down like this, and we just get an open drive lower, the backside test, which is this is the white zone, is where if I were to just buy the white zone blindly, right, this is where I would expect my refund trade. This now becomes a critical support resistance area. Failure to get back above this is stage 1 of getting a corrective move back to the downside. You should have that written down. If we blow up 68.90 for safe measure, right, the backs and fail to get back above, right, that is the first step in getting a corrective move to recheck up on prices lower. If that does not happen, we cannot get a corrective move. Look for a push out. Step number 2, if we push down from here, right, let's make a move from 68.92 into 68.50. That is a 30 to 50 point rotation and repairs the chart. Expect a counter rotation back up down here, probably back to the mid. Why? The chart is repaired, and we've consistently gotten responsive buyers from where the chart has been repaired, right? Once again, at that point, that's about as far as I feel comfortable predicting where we're going to get any type of move. If we consolidate underneath the 68.50, be aware that the point of control and the TPO point of control and the volume point of control were almost tested yesterday, and close enough where I would downgrade this to a maybe instead of a I'm very confident in this area. You're going to balance that against the stretch. This would be about 100 points. If this blows up, right, which is possible because we pretty much started from that point yesterday, and we trade underneath, first of all, realize if we trade underneath, that'll be the end of the one timing to the upside. We look for a change in character in the days to come. But number 2, the next most obvious target, realize all the points of control back here have been tested, 67.89, which would put us down roughly 150 points on NQ. I don't think that will happen, right? But we've been going up pretty vertically, and if everyone hits the exit sign, this is where I'm looking for a reversal. You'll see that there's areas in this chart down here that need to be repaired, and if you look behind it, there is then not much behind to help us out. There's this volume point of control that was pretty much almost tested at 67.50. Really getting down into this area opens us up to a corrective move to the downside. And those are the first few steps. Conversely, if we consolidate above 69.14 and fail to close back in this morning, I am looking for longs to push out to the upside, again, using my same, what I'll call the last mile of entry. Get above my last best seller or above my last spot buyer so I can control risk on either side. So failure to definitely, if we can't get back inside 69.1450 in the first half hour, I'm definitely looking long. I'm not looking for shorts. Once we're inside 69.14, I expect a response out of 68.99 to 68.92. Failure to get the response will trip me off to the fact that we're probably going to come back and get a corrective move. Even if we test into 68.99 and we don't blow 68.90, I still expect an attempted pushback up because we're just in a fantastic bull market. Any questions on ES from guys in the room? I am burning the first half hour so I can see what they do, my plan today, and I will not lose focus on getting above or below my last seller. Let's go do ES really quick. Okay, same formula on ES. There we go. Looks nice. We are trading 28.35 and a quarter, right? Value area high, 28, 28.50, roughly. I'm sure there's an exact number, and I don't have it right down to the tick. Value area low. Okay, notice that the point of control for volume and point of control for time are separated, okay? When my observation has been when these are not packed close together, that it is easier to blow through this. I trust the volume point of control more than I trust the TPO point of control, but both are weaker because they're spread apart. Okay, that makes it also this entire area valid and a little bit trickier. So my first question is, can I trade below 28, 28.50? If I cannot trade below that, push out, right? Once I am in, I must be, so I have to go with the most conservative reading. in order to think of a corrective move, we've got to get below 28.1975, and the chart gets repaired right here at roughly 28.14. I'm going to skip a little bit of the details because I'm running out of time. 28.14, the chart gets repaired. So if we come down here and repair the chart, what I would expect, right? Let's say, because we already know what it looks like if we're up here, I don't have to cover it, right? If we come down here, right, and we blow this area up and come in here, right, the first question is, can I get back above 28.1975? If I fail to get above 28.1975, right, I then expect a leg down towards 28.05. We're trading 28.34. If we take away 30 points from 28.34, that puts us to 28.04. So 25 to 30 down, there's a naked volume point of control. I expect between 2800 and 2805 to get a big response, probably back to this 2820. If we get down there, I doubt they'd let it melt, right? The first key to getting any corrective move is closing in on a 30-minute time frame. That's both on ES and NQ, inside the value area, not just testing, right? If I test in, test out, and I hold the backside test of this, I still expect to push back up, right? I'm not bearish. I want to be really clear. I'm just on alert for a drive lower, because when we get a move like this, right, and I showed this the other day, it would look just like this from a 30-minute time frame. Okay, we opened up, right? You'll see that they tried to push out of the gate. They pushed back down. Now look at what the first steps were here, and it looks the same on NQ as it does ES. This was a holiday. Throw that information out, right? I'd be doing the same thing here. Value area high, points of control, and the chart gets repaired right here, okay? So if you will look at that, we'll make that last piece, charts repaired right here. Notice we can way overshoot the chart getting repaired and still reverse, right? So the first thing you'll notice is on a 30-minute time frame, we closed back into value. Notice that once we closed back into value, that's where we accelerated to the downside. We blew up the volume points of control. See how we backside tested them, right? Backside tested them, rejected out of the backside test. We stopped one timing to the downside right here on the 30-minute time frame, and that set up the reversal. But the key was, if you got aggressive in here once we closed back into value, right? Ignoring this, which we don't have that problem today because we didn't have a holiday. Once we closed back into value, we swept the entire area, then reversed. Notice that did not make it a bear market, did not set us up for short rotations or continuation to the downside, but you did have to be aware of it to avoid a nasty slaughter on the downside from the long perspective, which is my goal. So I'm using this same model from the 16th to operate for today. Had this market simply come in and rejected out of this value area high, I would have expected a V shape here. If we closed back in, I would have expected it to V-shape back up from here. The fact that it closed back into value into 30-minute time frame was my first clue that there was a problem on the day, and now I know what to look for. So I expect buyers to remain in control. ES is flat. NQ is up 7 3/4. Again, I won't be doing anything for the first half hour. I'll be burning that, and we'll get to work. Remember, your risk management is very, very key, and understand, have a trade plan. If you get stopped, right, stop trading for the day. There'll be a new opportunity right down the road. There is every single time. That never changes, okay? The only way you can't continue to trade is if you blow up your own trading account. We're right into the white zone on Russell right out of the gate. The white zones have been totally money, right? It's a little bit wider than normal. That has been a money trade. Of course, the highest risk is also off the open, but if you've managed your trades in Russell correctly, you've made a lot of money the past month in Russell trading the white zones. That's about all I have to add on that particular concept or idea. The tick is neutral. We're just pretty much flat. There's no bearishness. There's no bullishness one way or the other. Let's put this out. Advancers, 12.14 to decliners, 12.38 neutral. By advanced decline ratio is 0.96. And we are trading above Monday's high on NQ. And the key again is getting below the value area high. That'll be my first clue that there is an issue with the market. So guys on YouTube, thank you for joining me. If you liked it, if you could please hit the like button, I'd really appreciate it. If you'd like to come and try out the room for a couple of days, you're more than welcome to. Send me an email at tradeandperform@gmail.com. And let's go make some money. Talk to you later, guys. Have a great day. I'll be in the room just a second, guys. And thank y'all for joining me on YouTube.